2 hours before. She's like,
We
I'm
have
going to buy
one?
tickets to leave.
No, we need to talk about fun time.
And we did that.
Well, I'm figuring it'd be more if it goes to this.
Chair, it is 7 o'clock.
Good evening, and welcome to the November 4th meeting of the PRCS Commission. We're starting the meeting at 7 o'clock. Can we have the call to order and roll call, please?
Commissioner Whitaker,
Here.
Commissioner Chen,
Here.
Commissioner Bond,
Here.
Vice Chair Peters, absent, Chair Alexander.
Here, and I'd like the record to reflect that Vice Chair Peters may be joining us later. She's
Yes.
dealing with a family issue.
When she shows, or if she shows, we'll put into the record the time she shows up. So currently, there are 4 commissioners, 1 absent.
Thank you. And next on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. And Brian, could you do the honors for us, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on our agenda is items from any commissioners or staff. We'll start with commissioners first. Commissioner Whitaker, do you have any items?
Just a few things to say. Over the past month, us commissioners, Commissioner Bond, Chair Alexander, we attended the Halloween costume contest for the kids at Veterans Memorial. It was a very good time. Like I said, I always enjoy festive time, especially around the holidays now. So it was a really good turnout. It was a little chilly out there, and the LED screen looks fantastic. I just want to say that. As far as that goes, I really enjoyed myself, and the costumes looked wonderful. The kids seemed excited. So that's what I have.
Commissioner Chen?
Let's see. I took my dog to the dog park this weekend, or last weekend and this weekend. Last weekend, the gate was broken, the inside gate, so I was happy to see it was fixed and looking good the following weekend. You talk to some people come from far and wide to use the dog park, so it's a really lovely resource. That's it.
Commissioner Bond?
Well, as Commissioner Whitaker said, the three of us, the chairman and Commissioner Whitaker and I, were at the Halloween party at the park. And I have to say, I am not a fan of judging contests because all of those costumes were amazing, and I hated to just pick one. But then I did it again on Friday when I went to the senior center. So, and nobody knew who I was when I walked in. They asked for a ticket. That's what you heard. They asked for a ticket. I told them who I was. They were a little shocked. And that was the whole point. I went as the Grim Reaper. I guess that was appropriate or not to go to the senior center as the Grim Reaper. But it was fun, and there were some really great costumes there as well, so that was a lot of fun. And one of the things that I would like to let people know is that, again, I'm talking about dogs off of leashes in the park, but a few weeks ago, on my way to the plunge, as I was approaching Vetch Park at around 6:30 in the morning, I saw 2 coyotes hunting. So I would just advise people, whether you have a big dog or especially small dogs, please, please, please be aware that they're out there hunting, and you want to keep them safe. And that's all I have. Oh, other than we had like 600 kids in our neighborhood come to our house over Halloween, and we scared about half of them.
Thank you, Commissioner Bond. Yeah, I had a lot of fun at the Halloween costume and other events that was held in Veterans Park. Sometimes people were a little late showing up, I think, because they were torn between the adults watching the Dodger game or bringing their kids in the cute costumes. But I think it came off pretty well, and they got to see the movie on the big screen that Commissioner Whitaker mentioned, so that was great. I've also took my dog to the dog park over the weekend. I don't know why I didn't see you there. Anyway, I did note, and I had sent along a picture to staff. There is one area that unfortunately my dog was apparently adding to a hole that's being created by the fence on the street side she just added to it, so it got deeper. I tried to make her stop, but at least when I looked at it, it seemed that the fencing was still secured to the piping on the bottom area. So hopefully the pooches won't keep adding to that, because that might become a safety problem. I also want to say that we have here, I think it's A2, yes. The city council actually took an action to form or to give us a potential assignment regarding the naming of minor facilities. And I just wanted to let you know that I did attempt to make a public comment on that. I had signed up to do it, but I decided to do it from home so I could watch the Dodger game. And unfortunately, whoever was manning the system did not see that I was on there, even though I desperately sent about 6 messages to the chat so they could see that I was there. But fortunately, Commissioner Bond was able to make comment, which I think was important, because this is one of the items that I know the commission has been looking to hope that the city council would take action on, because we do have the possibility of it being a small revenue stream potentially because of the types of places that people might want to have naming rights here. Welcome, Vice Chair.
Thank you. Apologies for being late.
No problem. We're still.
Thoughts are too bright, and the kids kept playing.
So the lights apparently are very good. That's good to know in our fields. Yes, so anyway, the city council did hear from at least one commissioner that we were pleased that they were moving, and in fact, they did pass that item. And other than that, I don't have any other items. We were just going through items for commissioners, if you had anything that you would like to add.
I just have to say the new TVs and couches at the teen center look awesome. And I really like all the improvements. It seems like it's a lot of fun.
Great. Are there any items from staff, or would you like to defer to later?
I have a couple items that I don't want to wait till the end. So the first thing I would like to announce is, effective yesterday, Mr. Adam Ferguson is now the Deputy Director of Parks, Recreation, and Community Services.
Congratulations, Adam.
Speech?
I think it's a wonderful development.
Yeah, so very exciting. Like I said, it took effect yesterday, so it's now official. The other thing I just wanted to call to your attention, I don't know if anyone noticed or if anyone recalled, there was an item that was listed as for a topic for this meeting about impacts on the tax measure, and in talking to the chair, I believe that was put on there as kind of like a placeholder in case it didn't pass and what kind of impacts we were going to have. Since it did pass, and I think we've already announced that because it passed, we now get to hire a senior management analyst, and we're in the process of hiring right now. We're just waiting for a list. I know the first round of interviews has gone through. We're waiting for the list so that we can do our second round of interviews. So we're moving forward on filling that position. So if you want more information, we can certainly add it on to a future agenda, but I kind of took the liberty of removing it since we don't really have any other impacts besides that. So I just wanted to call that to your attention. That's all I have for now.
Great. Any other members of staff or later? Okay.
I would like to say that Vice Chair Peters, for the record, showed up at 7:07.
Thank you. Moving on the agenda to public comment, are there any public comments at this time?
There are no public comments.
Great. Are there any correspondence that we need to receive?
You did not receive any correspondence.
Great. Next on the agenda is I-1, an information item from staff. I believe that Director Stevens would like to address something that is an item that kind of came up in between our last meeting and this one.
Yes, and so what Chair Alexander is referring to, Ted Stevens, Director of Parks, Rec, and Community Services, for anyone who's watching, just for their benefit. So there was actually two things that came up after last meeting, before this meeting. There wasn't really time to have a discussion on whether or not we wanted to have wanted to add it to an agenda, but I can add things to an agenda, so I added this as an informational only, and then from there, you can decide if there's something you want to talk about in the future. So two things occurred. One is there's a development over in the Fox Hills neighborhood that added some public open space, some private/public open space in their development, and there's an allowance within the planning code that they can request up to a 50% reduction in their park development or impact fees that they pay to the city. So that's something that they have to get permission from the Planning Commission. So we did meet with them. Like I know I was involved with meeting with them and with the Planning Department, and this was our first time dealing with this issue, and they were asking for the full 50%. The Planning Commission ended up giving them 25%. So that was a good thing, that they actually reduced it for us. But it just brought up, a question, because I think a lot of the planning commissioners, and I think Chair Alexander had watched the meeting. I think they were kind of unsure kind of how to handle it, because I don't think this happens all that often. And so in talking with Chair Alexander, she brought to my attention that maybe there should be a process where this commission hears from the developer and makes their case, and then you guys make a recommendation to the Planning Commission and the City Council of, yes, we're okay with the 50% or 25% or whatever we want to give them. So I had that. So I'm just letting you know I had that discussion with the Planning Department. They're actually in favor of it, and so they're going to be working on some language. So that leads me to, there was supposed to be a hearing on this coming Monday. It's not going to happen on Monday. So there's going to be a little bit more time involved. There's some things have come up, and it's not going to happen on Monday, so there won't be a hearing on the parks development fees on Monday. It's going to be, I don't even want to give you a date because I don't know, but it's going to be in the first part of next year. So it could be in January, maybe February. I'm not sure, it depends, but it won't be in December. And there's only one meeting in November, so it won't be till next year. So we'll have a little bit more time. I can maybe provide more information. One of the things I know that they're going to be discussing is the amount that the fees are going to go up. So the fees are going to go up. We just don't know how much. There was a consultant brought in. Consultant looked at a lot of different factors, and I don't have all these details. I know they'll be in the hearing documents when they come out. But there was a recommendation for a certain level of fees. They were really high. we obviously don't want to stifle development, but of course we want to get our impact fees too. So it's trying to strike that balance and working with the planning department. So that's what the hearing is going to be, part of what the hearing is going to be about. So as we get more information about that, I'll definitely share it with you. I don't have anything more than that right now. So, but also part of that process will be updating and creating, hopefully, a process where this body gets to see those fees, or gets to see the people that want waivers. So you won't see every development, only if the development's asking for credits towards the fees. So I think those were the two issues, I think, related to this that I wanted to just brief you on. So I can take any questions if you have any questions, or.
I would just like to point out to the commissioners that when we get to our agenda, item A4 for upcoming agenda items, should you choose to have as little discussion as we can, but potentially having that as an agenda item as to what the director just discussed for a future agenda, we can discuss it then. But if you have any questions for Director Stevens now.
I kind of do. I'm just curious how the 50% was okay, because the whole reason I saw it was, I went to another community meeting a few weeks ago about a project on Overland, and then they saw that I was there, the person who was in charge of it, and he sent me an email about another community meeting for another project that's going up in Fox Hills. But then he pointed out that unlike this other project that got approved that was asking for 50%, they were asking for nothing off of the Parkland fees. And I went, wait a minute, 50% of how much? Because that's a lot of money when you're looking at it. And then I found out it was like 50% of $6.25 million. And which then got me to go to watch the Planning Commission. And when they brought it down to a quarter of that, it was still almost like $1.6 million. And I thought we could have done Tellefson Park with that. I mean, how far we could go with that kind of money. So I'm just kind of curious how it came to be okay for that amount, not to put any pressure on you, just to know the process of why this was. Because when I looked at their pool, I think they said only 15% or 16% was actually going to be community space. When I looked at their pool and they said, well, that's going to take pressure off of say the plunge, I'm like, that's a resort pool. I don't know how much that'll take off the plunge, especially if someone wants to do laps. You're not going to be able to do anything in there. So, and plus it's not public. It's specifically for the residents. So it was just, I just was kind of curious how that came about to be okayed. And nothing, not to criticize, just a curiosity.
Yeah, so in our meetings that we had with the developer and with the planning department, I'll be honest, I leaned heavily on the planning department of, I asked a lot of questions. What is this space? What is that space? What are you adding? But I leaned on the planning department of what is the precedent, like what has been approved in the past. And they assured me that this is not untypical, that like what they were adding was kind of typical, and this level of what they were providing had received 50% discounts in the past. I did mention that, when we develop this new, policy or program going forward, if we develop it with you guys, that I feel like there needs to be more clear, like standards, something that you all can lean on rather than just being subjective, like this many square feet or this percentage of the project, or an actual amenity as opposed to just like an open grass space, like a playground or a pool or pickleball courts or dog park or, spaces like that are actually will potentially take pressure off parks because they're providing it for the residents there. So I think that's where we would go, something more concrete that we can point to.
I
in
think
the
I would like
future.
to see more percentage or more details, because when they said, well, we have a garden area where they can plant some herbs or whatever, and it's like, well,
Right.
how big is that? Is that like 6 by 8 feet?
I think that's
You
the
know.
kind of thing that
Planning commission?
well, details, I think, would be the kind of things that we could get into if the commission decides
Right.
later that they want to have. But I just
Right.
wanted to point out two
Yeah.
things that I observed. Number one, I watched the planning commission meeting and actually have had a chance to speak with one of the planning commissioners, and I'm having coffee with another one later. But I think it was clear that they were a little uncomfortable with where they were in making that decision without more information. So that's just one point. The other point is, just as an observation item, there's also an art and public places fee that's put on, I think it may be all structures, and the rec fee only gets put on residential structures. But there's actually a process that if a developer does not want to put money into the art and public places fund, then, in other words, they either want to put in their own art, or they want the architecture of the building considered to be so outstanding it should be considered art, that the Cultural Affairs Commission actually will review that item. It just isn't, so they have a space for doing that. So this was part of the conversations that were kind of like rolling through my head, but we can get to those later.
Anyway, all I'm going to say is that I support this, and I think that it'll allow us to be more proactive and be able to represent the residents and also give you some backup if you don't feel like what they're doing is good. So if you feel uncomfortable with it too, then you have some backup with us. So.
I also would like to make one clarifying statement. When we talk development fees and park impact fees, that's not a fee that just goes into our bank account and Parks gets to use for anything. There's a lot of strict guardrails on how we are allowed to use the money from these fees. So in the statement, like, oh, that could have paid for Telefson, it actually can't, because too many things of Telefson are not allowed to be paid for by these impact fees. They do have guardrails of how we're allowed to use them. So just as over the coming months, as this conversation develops, just keep that in mind. There are strict state guidelines.
Thank you for that observation, Adam. But I would also like to add that we need to make sure is within reason, within guidelines that can be worked on in the future, that as much of those dollars get into the fund as possible. Okay, are we ready to,
I just have one
Yes.
question. This is just, when a developer offers parkland in lieu of the park fees, does that land have to be open to the public? Or is it, I'm creating different amenities for the people who live in my development such that they no longer need the parks?
There's generally a combination of both. And so, it's usually a combination of both.
Great, thanks.
And the one that was providing or asking for this one had both.
That was it.
great. Thank you. Moving on, we have consent calendar item C1, which is approval of the minutes from our meeting of October 7, 2025. Do any of the commissioners have any additions or corrections to the minutes? If not, I'll take a motion to adopt the minutes.
I motion to adopt the minutes from our last meeting.
I second.
I have a motion by Vice Chair Peters, seconded by Commissioner Bond, to approve the minutes of the regular Parks, Recreation, Community Services Commission meeting of October 7th, 2025. And you may start voting. And the votes are in, and that motion passes unanimously.
Moving on to action item A1, the receipt and filing of a report regarding the most recent Fiesta La Bayona. Are there any public comments on this item?
There is not.
Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. Today, we're going to talk about Fiesta and give a recap and a summary of how it went and some highlights and all the good stuff. So, highlights. Folklorical, we have multiple groups because it is such a popular entertainment piece. We probably get the most comments about folklorical in general because people love to see it, and so it's definitely one of our highlights of Fiesta. The other thing everyone loves is the Aquacade movie. It's kind of a kickoff movie for the weekend. This time it was Aquaman, the second one, what was the name? The Lost Kingdom. And so I love that piece of what we do, and we fill up and we have a waiting list, so it is very popular. Another highlight for us was our parks maintenance team. Our parks maintenance team works really hard all the time. This year specifically at Fiesta, I received a ton of comments about how clean the area was and how attentive they were to issues, and I thought that this year really stood out in terms of our maintenance crew, and I thought they did an outstanding job. They're there early in the morning and they stay late at night, and they are constantly moving. There are not times that you see them just hanging around. So I definitely wanted to highlight them. And then the last one, the new ride, the Sea Ray, the reason this is highlighted, we've waited 3 years for this ride to come in. They had multiple issues with the ride, not necessarily the way it works, but really the way that it looks. At one point, the painting went completely wrong right before. So basically, we've been waiting 3 years for this ride. So it was definitely a highlight to get it in. It was very popular this year, and I thought it went really well. So talking more about the carnival, we had the Sea Ray ride, and then we had another small kiddie ride that was new, that was also popular. I don't remember that name. But we usually have fan favorites. I put the zipper in there because the zipper is always a fan favorite with lots of lines. But one thing that the carnival does, and we talk a lot about it, and it may go unnoticed, but the popular rides in the past, the line just, meandered, and then we have issues with teens coming up and kind of taking over the front of the line. And so each year they've done a better job of really making sure those popular rides have a better line access. And this year they completely gated it off so that even for a long line, it actually wrapped around. And one of the other things that I think might go unnoticed to the general public, but not to me, is the large walkways in the thoroughfares. We talk about it a lot when we walk the site, when they're setting up. One of their main concerns is to make sure that there's plenty of space. Because there are so many people that come to our carnival, they want to make sure that there's just plenty of space so that people aren't converging onto each other. Another thing we did differently the past 2 years was going completely online for pre-sales. This took away that piece of whether or not they have to go in, pick up, exchange the wristband. It cut out that whole piece and made it very easy for the consumer just to go, once they paid for it, just go to the ticket booth and set it up. The other thing that we were going to do, and we planned it, and it was a very busy fiesta, and there were multiple times we tried to get an additional ticket booth in front of the registration office to make it even easier, but it needed a cart, and every time we tried to get that, something happened, and so it never happened, but that was something that was supposed to be there, that will definitely be there in the future, because we want to give people points of access to ticket booths as easily as possible, because in the past, the lines have been very long. In addition, the kiddie area, we receive a lot of comments about the kiddie area, and people are very appreciative that it's in one area, and that is our goal. We started that last year, and when we expand, anytime that we're expanding it, the kiddie area is going to stay the same in terms of together, wherever it moves, because it does seem to be a better direction for the carnival in general, is to have all the other rides and then have the smaller rides all together so they can converge in that area. Vendors. So we had same amount of vendors as we did last year, both retail, nonprofit, and food. Starting with the food, some fan favorites this year, in speaking to the booths and how well they did, Indonesian satay did extremely well, and so did mango sticky rice. Both of those booths did very, very well this year. And we were excited because in the past, it's usually funnel cake and those type. So Indonesian satay has been here before. They said this was their best year, and the mango booth did extremely well. There were two new choices. One was the mango booth, and the other one was the vegan joint. Unfortunately, the vegan joint ended up leaving on Sunday. They didn't get the traffic that they had hoped for. We were bummed because we really loved the fact that we offered a vegan option. They did not do well at all. And according to them, they didn't make back what they paid for on the booth. So we were definitely bummed about that. And then wanted to mention Mr. Cooley. He's always one of the most popular booths. He's the ice cream truck. People love him, but he's also very generous, even with food vouchers, which I'll get to right after this. We went to him to get food vouchers back, which basically means that we were going to pay him for whatever our staff bought. He didn't want us to do that. He wanted us to keep the money. He wants money to go to the kids, so there's times that kids walk up and he just gives them out free ice cream. I just wanted to highlight him because he's there consistently every year. He always does very well, but he does like to give back. This year, we decided to give out food vouchers to the staff, so they received one per day that they worked, and it was good for $20 at any booth, and that went over very well with staff and with the vendors. So the vendors appreciated, obviously, getting additional money that maybe staff may not have used in the past, and staff really appreciated the gesture. The staff favorite was the birria truck. Far and wide, the birria truck sold the most to staff.
PD too.
Oh, and the police department. So they're very popular. Every year, just so our process is understood, we really do, if we see things that we tried, the amount of times that we tried to get the coffee truck to come out, we asked them multiple times. We asked them at the events that they were at for us. We called them separately. We asked if we could crafts that are normally just come up and look at stuff at the booth, so that was good to see. We always tend to have a wide variety, so that didn't change this year. And then another highlight for us was really the mobile crisis team. Having them on site and being able to talk to people, I think, is great. Really encouraging people to understand the services that the city offers and that being one of our prime ones, was great. Entertainment. We had some great entertainment this year, and I say that because looking out onto the dance floor, I saw a ton of people constantly coming out, enjoying all of the groups. We had a ton of great groups. These were just some that were highlighted that I noticed really engaged with the public and got down there with them, danced with them. They were a lot of fun. We'd never had 90s babies before, and the amount of people that like stormed that dance floor when they came on and played certain songs was great. It was great to see all ages on the dance floor. And we have such a wide range. Our Recreation Community Services Supervisor, Jill Thompson, has led up our entertainment for the past few years, and she really does such a good job getting in multiple groups, getting in a variety of types, and fitting it into the budget as well. It isn't easy. She gets a ton of applications, but she does a great job, and I think this year there was such a wide variety. It was great to see. These are some more and a couple of our community groups. The dance lessons we tried for the first time last year, and they were a big hit, so we brought them back. In addition to the dance lessons, we brought in LA Posse, which is a dance group, but then also went out into the grass and pulled people up on the stage and danced with them. And it was such an energetic group. It was great to see. Loved seeing the Polynesian dancers, a different type of dance. It was just a beautiful flow. And again, we brought out the kids, blow brass, them kids. We also had, what was that booth? The mechanical, the STEM Robotics Club. They came out and did a demonstration as well. So getting the kids involved, I think, is great for this event. The Beer and Wine Garden did very well. These are the groups that they donated the money to. So Sandy Seagull, Friends of the Youth Health Center, Backpacks for Kids, the YMCA. These are some that are always on their list, but specifically we ask for who they're donating the money to from this event, and this is who they gave us for this year. So we're really glad to see where the money goes back to. Aquacade. We love it. I mean, it's always really hot, and so it's very popular. People love the obstacle course. I will say, again, I think the movie on Friday night is great. Something that I will be looking at in the future is adding an event or two. I know in the past they did the duck races. I believe it was the Kiwanis. They were reached out to a couple years ago. They didn't want to do it again. But I think adding in a couple more of those pieces would really help this piece of the event, because it is great. We allow a lot of rec swim. We have the obstacle course. We, have popcorn and cotton candy, and the kids get involved. It's a place to relax. It's really hot in August. So I think it's a great portion, but I do think that we can program it a little bit more. So we will be looking at that in the future. Some things that we wanted to address, I know that were asked about, were security and what type of feedback we've received. So in 2024, we sent out a survey, and we had 69% of the survey respondents saying that they felt safer with the increased security measures. For me, that was a great number. I was worried going into 2024 that we would not have that type of reaction. But for the most part, even the feedback that we received, because at the booth, people were asking, how was the process? Did you have to wait in a long line? How does it feel knowing we have these? And people seem to for the most part, be very happy about it. I would say some of the comments that we received from people that were negative were along the lines of they wouldn't let me bring my dog in. So we did have a chunk of those, but I was happy with the 69% number. In 2025, nobody really mentioned security. We didn't receive much feedback. We did cut back on the number of metal detectors, and there was still never a huge line. I think that our security did a great job really moving people forward, and they were very active at night, walking around. So in general, I thought security was good, and this year, again, we didn't hear good, we didn't hear bad. I think people expected it, which was good. Entertainment feedback. So people don't necessarily, in our survey in person and when we just are talking to people about Fiesta, nobody really complains about it. They all just give what they want to see. And I gave some examples below that were taken directly from surveys or things that people had emailed me. And I know petting zoo, I don't see coming back, but some of the other stuff we've looked at or brought in. Circus acts was interesting, something I hadn't thought about. I think stand-up comedy would be very difficult just because it's not necessarily quiet. But these are just some examples. Again, people, they never say we don't like your entertainment, you should be doing X, Y, and Z. They're always very much like, we love just being here, we love seeing things live. This is what we would add. Another thing I would say, though, about the entertainment is we do get a decent amount of comments that talk about having an area for the kids near the beer garden with passive, whether it's cornhole or something, so that the parents in the beer garden can watch their kids next to them in a secured location. We have looked at something similar in the past. There's more logistics to that. But that is something that we've heard throughout the years. And I wanted to end with, we brought out misters, and they were very popular, and this guy seemed to really enjoy it. So, I'm here for any questions.
Great presentation. Thank you. I'll start with Commissioner Chen.
Yeah, that's a great presentation. I still can't get over that video. That makes me really happy. I think when you were presenting it, I had probably the same response as I think I'm hearing that you're saying about surveys, which is like, this is all great. And yes, there are ideas that come up, but it's just such a sort of foundational part of Culver City community. I think everyone's just happy to see it there.
Thanks.
Commissioner Whitaker.
Yeah, Fiesta was amazing. My daughter seemed to love it. She was there with 2 dates. Yeah, everybody I saw seemed to really be having a good time. As far as the police presence, it was there, but it was subtle. As far as the misters, they were definitely used. I saw somebody always next to one. I went next to one myself. Felt really great. It was just overall really good experience. And I didn't see anything that would have been alarming. The beer garden was packed. I mean, every time I walked by, it's like bustling of people. And the rides, they did look very organized. I know, as you had spoken in the past, the lines probably got out of control and people cutting in line and doing whatever they wanted to do. I didn't see a lot of that. And that kept everything in an organized manner and obviously keeps things safer. So it was a really good turnout in the acts that I did see. It was definitely a variety, and that was awesome. So overall, fantastic experience, great experience, and just keep going forward with that, and it's just going to get better every year. Thank you.
Commissioner Bond.
Well, my child is past the age of of going to the Fiesta La Leona, but my husband remembers it very fondly as a kid, so we always come every year to check out the food. He always wants to check out the food, so that's what we did. And it did seem like it was really easy to get through the security. I didn't really notice if there were police around, but I knew that they were there. So I think you guys, I know you guys do a really good job. You work really hard. You put on this wonderful event, and we appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Peters.
Yeah, thanks again for this great presentation, and again, it was a great fiesta. I got one comment when I mentioned we were talking about it, that there was a request for maybe even more frozen treat. Stills would be desirable among a certain age segment. Again, I loved it that the rec swim for Aquacade was open all the way till 5 this year. I think that was a change from years past. I think it used to close at 3, which
Yes.
is really nice because it was so hot that weekend. And it'd be great to see, hopefully as we get more pool managers on in the summer, to have rec swim open till 5 more often on the weekends. And then I had just a couple questions / suggestions for the beer garden. My first question is, I forget when the city council gave it to had Exchange Club run it this year, did they commit for more years, or is that
Yes, the next 5 years,
next 5 years? Okay, great.
or 5 years total.
5 years total. I do think a space outside of the beer garden, but next to it with tables would be nice, because that area is still shady. And it is a nice spot for your kids to come in and check in with you, because it's a good gathering place, but also it's a little quieter than under the tent. And I know we have the other picnic area, but that sometimes I think feels really far away from people, so they sort of forget about it. So it'd be nice if there was more tables near sort of next to the beer garden or in that area, because it's kind of shady. So we wouldn't have to get another tent, but that are not in the beer garden, either for people who don't want to have to purchase tickets to go in, or for people, for kids to be near their parents. And then my other question / thought about the beer garden is that it's great that it's under the trees, but the bad thing is that there's so many roots that it like tree roots there, that it can be hard for people with mobility issues. And not just later in the evening mobility issues, but ADA sort of mobility issues. So I was just wondering, I don't even know if there's anything we could do about that, but just thinking about that, or at least trying to, I think those trees drop little seed pods or something, and just try to make it friendlier for, because I definitely saw older folks who were having some problems moving through that area.
We do shave them down when they get too high, but obviously we can't go too far down. But we do try to do that. The other option that we have done in the past is lifting basically the whole floor, really, with mulch, which was good, but there was a smell associated. So we had some issues with that as well, but it is something that we recognize and try to work with every year.
And then my last comment about the beer garden would be, I don't know if city council would allow it, but given how popular the beer garden is in the summer, it would be sort of fun to do it another weekend or two during the summer. Not the whole fiesta, clearly, but have a beer garden there, because I think, everybody who I was talking to was like, oh, I love this. This is so great. We wish we could do it more often. And maybe it'd be something where people aren't really into it, but it might be, if city council would let us do it, to try it one other weekend, maybe a Parks Kickoff beer garden or something, and see if it's something where, and maybe that one, instead of donating the proceeds, would or if the proceeds would go to the parks to, as a fundraiser for the parks or something like that. I know in the plans, definitely in the feasibility study, but I think also in the parks master's plan, there was a thought that eventually there'd be like a restaurant in Vets Park, but until then, it might be fun to think about doing something there where it could generate some revenue. And I believe when I chatted with Councilmember Fish and Vice Mayor Puza, they were both interested, thought that would be a fun idea to potentially try. So that's it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you. You said that Jill is the primary driver for all the entertainment things. How was she able to do that? Is she better now? Or was it harder for her this year to pull all this off, given that?
She's doing better, yes.
Okay, great. Well, then kudos to her for doing that while she was still under her recovery mode.
And she actually starts like in March with that process. And she also works with the ad hoc committee from the Cultural Arts Commission as well, too. They help her out. But yeah, does the vast majority of the work, but she starts it very, very early on.
Yeah, I'm glad you also mentioned cultural affairs, because I'm liking, I guess they've been doing this for a while with the Fiesta, but I know we've been talking about, kind of holding hands with them for other things that they wanted to do in our park areas. So hopefully we'll still be able to see those kind of things in the future. The big screen that we got, I think Director, you showed it to me during the Fiesta, but was it used for anything during the Fiesta?
We had just received it, and I was still kind of figuring out how it worked. We did get it working, but I think I was having some issues with getting the batteries charged up. So that was on me, just hadn't really, I've figured it all out now. So that's why it worked well at the Halloween event. But we were able to, working with tech artists, and again, with them, it was kind of last minute, like, hey, we just got this. Is there a way you can stream what's going on the stage and we had it going, but then it kept turning off, and I think I figured out later it was the batteries. But so I think going forward next year, yes, tech artists will be prepared, we'll be prepared, and we should be able to stream whatever's going on the stage, even with sound and everything, so.
Okay, so that's a good future use for the
Yes.
screen. That's what I figured we would be. Yeah, that's good. And something came up in my mind. I think it was because you were talking about, was it Mr. Cooley giving back to the community? On a related subject, I had a member of the community ask me, I know because I've seen the advertisement around to drop food off at the plunge for those in need, and the question that came to me is, where is it going after that? Is there a particular organization that the department is working with that actually distributes the food?
There is. I don't have the name off the top of my head.
Are you talking about the leftover food at the end of the night?
No, it's
The
not
plunge
related
food
to the
drive.
Fiesta.
Oh, the
It's
plunge
related
food
to the food drive that will be going on where people can leave at the plunge.
I can get that information. I don't have the name off the top of my head, though.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if it's possible, we could look it up before the end of the night, because I'd like to let the community know. Or I can let the community know that the plunge is accepting donations on behalf of the community, and we'll try to figure out exactly where it's going. But I just wanted to highlight that, because I was thinking about giving back to the community. That's all the questions that I have, other than thank you for a very successful event that I'm sure the community is looking forward to for next year.
And I just wanted to add this, I was double checking my numbers right now. It wasn't in the presentation, but I get asked every year, how many people went? How many people came to the event? I can actually tell you now, or at least a pretty good estimate. So over the weekend, the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we had roughly 30,000 visits.
So some of those are multiple people going on every day, and obviously some are going to be
Yeah, so
non-residents.
if the
and
same
all
person
this.
comes in the same day, it would only counts in once. But if they come Friday, they come Saturday, they come Sunday, that's why I say it's 30,000 visits, so.
Yeah.
That's how many visitors.
That's great. Good. Thank you very much. Moving on to item
Need a
A2.
motion.
Yes, please. Thank you,
I'll make a
Vice Chair.
motion to receive and file the report.
I second it. Oh, second, there we go.
I have a motion by Vice Chair Peters, seconded by Commissioner Bond, to receive and file the report regarding the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Department's Fiesta La Bayona. And you may start voting. And the votes are in, and that motion passes unanimously.
Moving on to A2, are there any public comments on this item? Which is consideration of forming a PRCS Commission subcommittee regarding the naming and renaming of minor facilities.
You do not have any public comment at this time.
Great. As I mentioned earlier in the meeting, this is something that emanated from an action, I believe, at the last city council meeting. Is there any staff report?
Yes, so as Chair Alexander mentioned, this is coming out of a policy that was adopted last city council, but also there's actually two policies I want to make you aware about. The first policy was the main one adopted at last city council meeting, which outlined how organizations or individuals can have facilities named after them based on donorship or, any kind of contribution. There's also a commemorative naming policy that was approved back in 2017, and it was updated in 2018. It was slightly put on hold while this latest policy was ironed out, because the application process for the two is going to be very similar. So this ad hoc subcommittee would be dealing with both commemorative naming and then also contribution or donor naming. And the policy itself does define what minor facilities are. We're not looking at talking about buildings. We're not talking about any kind of structures. What we're looking at are much smaller things like trees, park benches, bus benches, or some of the chairs here in chambers. So much smaller things that City Council in the policy has decided the PRCS Commission can handle. So what we're looking for tonight is a creation of an ad hoc subcommittee that would review all applications for anything that falls under minor facilities, and then that ad hoc subcommittee would bring the item to the full commission for a full vote on if it is approved or not. I will say there is also some applications already in the wings to be reviewed. The other component of this ad hoc subcommittee is to actually finalize what the public's application would be that you would need to review. So that would probably be the first thing that needed to be approved by the subcommittee so that we can release that to the public so they could start submitting officially the things that we've gotten requests on. I am here to answer any questions about what the City Council has asked of the Commission, and you all also can discuss forming the ad hoc subcommittee.
I have a procedural question. So we're talking about ad hoc committee to set up what the guidelines would be, but then we would also need more like a standing committee to review these as they come in, or?
So you're not really setting up the guidelines. We're just making sure the application gives you the information. So it's more just the application process, because the policy lays out the guidelines for you. It wouldn't necessarily be a standing committee. It could stay as an ad hoc subcommittee, because ad hoc subcommittees, as long as the purpose is being pursued, can be formed. And many commissions have ad hoc subcommittees that are basically reviewing applications. The Cultural Affairs Commission has some ad hoc subcommittees that are structured like this. Planning might have one. I'd have to go back and check that planning. So it is an ad hoc subcommittee that would just be formed, and if at any time the policy changed by city council and you all were no longer the ones assigned to review this, then you would dissolve the ad hoc subcommittee.
Okay, thank you. You said there was no public comment, correct?
There's not any public comment.
Okay, then I'll go to comments from commissioners. Commissioner Whitaker.
Well, I'm just, I'm looking through it. I looked through it earlier. And I was just trying to figure out, it does outline a lot of the things, what is considered minor. But is there a necessarily, like, say, for instance, something that somebody essentially wanted to put their name placard on that isn't stated, right? So if, for instance, at the plunge, somebody wanted to put their name on the tile or the brick, right? If it's not stated in here, can it be done?
Yes, it can. So the actual policy itself uses those as examples, but is open to other items. It's not a definitive list. So if you did want to name like a brick of a building, that would come here. But there is a certain tipping point where staff would probably recommend something go to city council instead of being handled on this level.
Okay. So this is more or less, we formed the ad hoc. I just want to get a complete clarification here. We form the ad hoc, accept the application, and then from there, we submit that to city council.
No. So what the policy states is you form the ad hoc, you would look over the application. If the ad hoc wants to approve it, it would need to come to the full commission for a vote.
Okay.
But minor facilities, city council, in essence, with this policy is saying, we don't need to deal with minor facilities. We only want to deal if someone wants to rename City Hall. You know, that has to go to city council. So this minor facilities will only be handled at the commission level.
Okay.
Enjoy the power.
Thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Commissioner Chen.
On page 5, it says, the city council shall establish by resolution minimum monetary donation requirements for minor facilities. Is that list, did we get sent those, or?
No, that is also what the ad hoc subcommittee will work out. And again, much like it follows the similar steps. So the ad hoc subcommittee with staff will work out what those donation levels will be. It will come back to the full commission for final approval. And that, unlike the naming, that will be then taken to city council, and city council will take into consideration your recommendation.
Oh, I got it. So it's not actually determined yet. That's part of the process.
Yes, that's part of the process.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Commissioner Bond.
I don't really have anything. You guys kind of covered what I was going to ask, so.
Vice Chair Peters.
One, I just want to say, I'm really glad we're finally getting to this stage. As my daughter and I were discussing in the car, we were talking about everything. We could slap some name placards on, slides, swings, basically everything. Let's make some money so that we can have better parks. Just one quick question. Would it be so I'm thinking about this more like a practical question is, when the ad hoc subcommittee gets these things, like let's say we're going to redo Teleficen, so we're going to allow people to donate to get names on benches, names on trees, names on, every brick in that park so we can actually pay for it. Would it be the case that when we vote on stuff, could we vote sort of by batches or would it be like a consent calendar thing? Because I don't really want to spend 14 hours going through each bench or things like that.
I would definitely recommend it being in batches, not just one thing at a time. I would want to go back and confirm with the city clerk, but I'm pretty certain we could even put it on your consent calendar without much discussion about it. Because really, because really the ad hoc subcommittee is reviewing the application, so if they're approving it at that level, there doesn't need to be too much discussion. If there's ever anything with a naming that someone doesn't really like and it is on the consent calendar, it can always be pulled and discussed individually.
All right, that's it for me.
Can this ad hoc committee also come up with some, I guess, design standards for what the plaques would look like, or would staff be recommending that, or has that already been decided? Because I think one of the things that's nice, and I hate to use this as an example, but it's the first thing that came to my head. I remembered the Veterans Cemetery where my father is located. They have very strict standard guidelines in terms of, what you can put on the plaque and what the plaque is going to look like. Do you envision that would be something that the ad hoc committee would also deal with?
It wasn't something I actually thought about. I mean, I think it could be handled with the ad hoc subcommittee. I will also say, though, if we're talking guidelines for what the plaques look like, I would also want to include the Cultural Affairs Commission, because a lot of plaques are handled on that level with that commission. So I'd want to make plaque decisions on a joint between the two commissions.
Okay. That was my only comment, other than echoing what the vice chair had to say, that it was a long time coming. I'm glad it's here, and I would certainly be a vote to create this ad hoc subcommittee.
Can I ask one
Second.
more question? Sorry.
Yes.
Just for my own understanding, so the money that's generated by these namings, is it going to a general fund or it goes to something specific? Are there guardrails on how it gets spent? Similar to, I guess, what you were saying before about an earlier agenda item, that money from like development fees has rules about how it can and cannot be spent. I was just wondering about this situation.
There aren't much guardrails. It is just going to the general fund. I mean, ideally, the minor facilities, when naming things for parks, would come back into the parks budget. Something I can discuss with finance and get back to you on. But naming like a bus bench should probably go towards transportation possibly. So something I can follow up with finance and see. I know the main thing that they have discussed is where money goes for the major facilities. And then, of course, that is going into the facility that's probably being built or renovated or whatever that donation is for. So that was the primary discussion that happened in these. So I can definitely follow up on where the minor facility money is going.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my question would be, maybe would there be an option for the donors that they say the money goes to the general fund or the money goes to something specific, or it just goes to the general fund?
Yeah, we can definitely discuss it on the ad hoc level, and then take the recommendation, again, through the commission, but to city council, and and try to put some guardrails on where that money goes. Or more specifically, how that money is spent, because it would go to the general fund, but how it's spent, yeah. And so I just want to also say, when we're forming an ad hoc subcommittee, if you just need to make one motion. If you all want to form it, then you can make a motion to form it and appoint 2 people all at once, so we don't have to keep going motion by motion by motion.
All right, then we're open for discussion as to 2 members who would like to serve on this particular ad hoc committee. 1, 2, 3. 3. Okay. Well, rather than do rock, paper, scissors, I remember the last time that we did this, which I think was on the fees committee, if each of the commissioners could give a little comment as to why they want to be on this particular one, unless somebody wishes to withdraw. Other than that, I'll start with Commissioner Whitaker.
Sure.
I would just like to be on the committee just as to see people of the community, their desire for what they would want to name. Essentially, there's many things, but some things are more near and dear to people's hearts that they would want to have their name associated with. And I'm just honestly, out of just general curiosity, I would just like to be part of the ad hoc subcommittee, just to see where people's hearts lie within the city and what they like to name.
Commissioner Chan?
I can withdraw. It won't have to be, so I'm sure there'll be more opportunities.
Yes, yes, I think there will be when we get to A4, or A3, actually. All right, that being the case, then we have two commissioners, Commissioner Bond and Commissioner Whitaker, who've raised their hands to be on there. So I'd like to make a motion to consider to actually form this ad hoc committee and have the two members be Commissioner Whitaker and Commissioner Bond. Is there a second?
I second. Oops, I was muted. I'll second. I can never work this thing.
I have a motion by Chair Alexander, seconded by Commissioner Chen, to approve the forming of the PRCS Commission naming and renaming of minor facilities and ad hoc, to approve the forming of the PRCS Commission naming and renaming of minor facilities ad hoc subcommittee and appoint Commissioner Bond and Commissioner Whitaker to the newly formed ad hoc subcommittee. And appoint, left out that word. Okay. And you may start voting. And the votes are in, and that motion passes unanimously.
Great, thank you very much. And we're now moving on to item A3. Do we have any public comment on item A3?
You do not.
It's a receipt and filing of updates from our already existing ad hoc subcommittees and representative appointees to outside organizations. The first one would be for the Senior Center Association Board, Commissioner Vaughn.
So the Senior Center Association Board of Directors was held on October 13th, 2025. Jill Thompson asked board members to okay the judge, who wanted to be the judge for the costume. That was Terry. I was also there. And then there was their intern from UCLA, who was another judge. So there were three of us. The best of show was a hula dancer, a male hula dancer. It was funny. Anyway, he did a very excellent job. He made all of us laugh. They said that on Thursday, October 16th, there was going to be a meeting regarding the new patio. So I hope that they had a good turnout for that. I don't know. I meant to ask you if you wanted to go. Sorry. And they thanked the team for the ping pong and pool tournament because it was a huge success. So they had a great time with that. The Mike Dunce, there was a free concert on Thursday, October 23rd at 10 a.m. And Mike John said, he's the social and disability coordinator, he said the Abilities Fair Carnival was very successful, and they were going to have a movie night on the 17th. Nick, the recreation specialist, wanted to fund a Spotify program account because apparently they use that a lot for dances and a variety of other things, and it was passed. Nancy, who's the Recreation and Community Services Coordinator, spoke about the Halloween party, October 31st. There was going to be a Merrymakers sale, October 20th. And also their holiday boutique is November 21st from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So if people are interested to sell anything, they need to purchase a table by tomorrow, so November 5th. There's going to be a grab-and-go lunch in November, and they're going to be closed the day after Thanksgiving. So December 1st through 5th is a membership drive, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And actually, their membership was, when they talked about that, that was pretty high. I think they were, it's over 4,000 now. It's about 4,000 since the first time since pre-COVID. They were talking about classes because one of the Parks and Recs employees moved, and so they lost their dance, or one of their dance classes, and so they're talking about having DS Dance Studios coming in and doing a class. The Halloween tickets were $10. The Halloween party were $10. The tickets, the sound booth workshop trial, they were going to do, there's a lot of things. Membership appreciation party. It's like it's packed. Friday, December 12th from 11:30 to 2. The pool and fitness room, the pool tournament obviously was fantastic. The fitness room will have new machines in about 2 weeks. There's been a lot of discussion about this where some people think that it's a waste of money to be replacing this equipment because they feel like it's okay and it could be upkept, but they've decided to go ahead and replace the equipment for safety reasons. They are going to have a trip in December for a Motown review. So I think that is already sold out. They have a new tech expert in the computer room. And on Friday and Monday is Judy, and Wednesday is Daniel. The turnout for the ping pong committee was great. They had voted to cap the number of people to join, but they did not approve. And so they have like 150 people who want to play ping pong. And not everybody shows up all the time, but this is becoming a big issue because you'll have about 40 people waiting to use the ping pong tables over the course of like 2 hours. And so they're hoping to add another hour on Sunday so that more people can participate, or add a couple hours on Sunday so more people can participate. All of the kitchen equipment is going to be replaced in a few months. And the board appointments, the deadline to apply was October 24th. And they started voting for the board appointments. And there should be 5 new board members. I don't know exactly, maybe in December is when they swear them in. I'm not sure when that happens. And it adjourned at 2:32 p.m. And that was pretty much it.
Thank you. Our next one is the Culver City Arts Foundation. Vice Chair Peters, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, so in their October meeting, again, they had a packed meeting. First, there's a discussion of the property that's next to the Kirk Douglas that is being redeveloped and should start construction soon. That's a mixed-use development, and they want to make sure that there's still space for arts activities in that development. One of the things that I think is most critical, moving on to a second topic that's probably most critical for us, is there was a real concern about the lack of commissioners on the Cultural Affairs Commission, or at least commissioners who are showing up for meetings. Apparently, they've been having trouble getting quorum on that commission.
They currently only have 3 members.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to become a Cultural Affairs Commission member, look into applying. But I think that's especially important for us, given that, we lean on cultural affairs to do things with like Fiesta and other PRCS events. So that is an important one. Then they talked about retreat planning. They're going to have a board retreat in January to talk about what they're doing next. They talked about funding different film festivals. There's a Proof Film Festival coming up. There's a Asian Film Festival coming up. They discussed again the MOU with the city regarding what they're going to provide to the city for the Olympics and how much the city is requesting that they try to fund. Discussion of their holiday party, which is also a fundraiser. So they talked about the holiday party and the auction along with other fundraising events because, of course, if you're a foundation, you need to raise money. They did a post-mortem on their Tito's events. They had one concern that the city's Hispanic Heritage Festival might have cannibalized people who went to that instead of going to Tito's, although they didn't really get a good sense on whether that affected things. But they did have slightly lower numbers for the Tito's Festival. They didn't know if it was because it was Saturday night or kind of like what was going on there. They discussed Art Walk and Roll, what they liked about it, what they wanted to change for next year with the organizers of that. And they had a main concern that they didn't sell as much swag at Art Walk as they had wanted to. So most of their activities in general at the meetings are about how are we going to raise money and then how do we spend our money. So that was what was it. But the main thing, they'll have this holiday party and the auction fundraiser coming up if anybody is interested in December.
Thank you. I would like to follow up on one of the things that the vice chair had mentioned. I don't know if it's at the discretion of the city clerk or by the guidance of the city council in terms of the desire to make mid-year appointments to the Cultural Affairs Commission, but given what our vice chair said, I think maybe it would be good if we could have some kind of communication come from our commission that it'd probably be good if they could do that process sooner rather than waiting for the June process, if that's agreeable to everyone on the dais.
Yeah, they had lots of great applicants from what I remember of the public speeches portion.
It is a city council decision, it's not a city clerk decision. The city clerk generally takes an item to city council she'll outline what kind of mid-year openings exist and ask for guidance on how city council wishes her to handle it. So I will check with city clerk of when that item is going, and I will let the commission know. So you all are aware, and if you all wanted to speak on it, you could.
Thank you. If I'm available and if there is a desire on the commission, I would speak on that particular item if it comes forward, because I do think it's important given their work with us. The next item is the Summer Olympics preparation. I don't know if you all caught this, but at one of the recent council meetings, the mayor mentioned the possibility of additional house coming to Culver City for the Olympic Games. I think he mentioned Senegal and potentially some other countries as well. So I think that's I'm not quite sure where they're going to fit in now that we've got the whole of the area that New Zealand's taken up, but I think that's also a positive development and from a different part of the world. And other than mentioning that, there hasn't been any call for us yet to be doing anything unless staff has something to add. Okay?
I don't have anything to add.
Great. The next item is the recreational programming and rentals fee study. I would look to Adam for any updates on that.
So the consultant was approved by City Council to work with PRCS to fine-tune the fee study and recommendations. So I'm hoping, once the holidays are completed, to have a meeting with the ad hoc subcommittee and let you know where we are and get guidance from you at that time.
Okay. Thank you. And the last item is the plunge procedure ad hoc subcommittee with Commissioner Bond and Commissioner Chen. Are there any?
No.
Commissioner Bond?
We did
Commissioner
not
Chen?
have a meeting this month, but, this in October, so maybe we can have one. I don't know how we would do it in November with everything that's going to happen, but maybe we can have one mid-November before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we can set some up.
Okay.
Can someone remind me again when the sort of survey of the changes is anticipated to be done?
We're running it up until the closure, which I think is December. Yeah, second week of December.
Okay, thank you. I think that's our whole list. Is there a motion to adopt this item?
I motion to adopt the receipt and filing of updates from members of the Parks, Rec, and Community Services Commission, ad hoc subcommittees, and representative appointees to outside associations and city committees.
I second it.
I have a motion by Commissioner Bond, seconded by Commissioner Whitaker, to receive and file the updates from the members of the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission ad hoc subcommittees and representative appointees to outside associations and city committees. And you may start voting. And the votes are in, and that motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Moving on to item A4, approval of our 2026 meeting calendar and filing of upcoming agenda items. I would like to, do you want to start with the meeting dates first?
Yeah, well, it's up to you, Chair. So we do have, this is what your meeting dates look like. They are the, as traditional, the first Tuesday of every month. Just so you know, if you decide that you want to change a date, we would, it would be canceling a regular meeting and creating a special meeting at this time, because publicly we know, the public knows that you meet on the second Tuesday of every month. So there's that fine line, So that is something that we can discuss tonight, is scheduling special meetings. Staff looked at holidays. We tried to think of anything that would interfere. And the only holiday that does is Passover, which runs for a pretty long period, for about a week. And the first Tuesday of April does fall into that Passover period. The other thing is Culver City Unified School District. In the past, the commission has talked about when their spring break is, and that also falls under your April 7th meeting. So those are two things that staff discovered do conflict. The important thing to know when we're talking about dates is that the goal is that we always have a quorum, which is 3 members. So if you're thinking one person can't make a meeting, that's perfectly fine. It's structured in a way to where people can miss meetings. So I don't recommend us canceling a meeting just for one commissioner, because you all are allowed to have vacations and have lives. We don't anticipate, you are not so strict that you have to be here every month. So that is something to keep in mind. When talking about what's upcoming, I focused primarily on the December meeting because I didn't want to lock too many things into January yet until you all voted for your 2026 dates. So in December, we have on the agenda your biannual report to City Council. We will be bringing in the Community Services Division will be doing a presentation on the activities for Disability Awareness Month, which was October 2025, and the Commission has requested that a budget letter discussion begin so we can start talking about the early phases of that. So that's what your December meeting looks like. And of course, in January, that budget letter conversation will probably continue. So I do have that, but I didn't want to get too detailed with 2026 quite yet, because again, I need you to vote on those dates before we start talking about what could appear on them. Just so you know, for the November, City Council only meets once in November. And so at their November meeting, we are looking to award an agreement for the contractor for the Culver West Alexander Park Playground. And we are looking to do an adjustment on our agreement for lighting and sound services at city events. So that's their company right now called Technology Artist, but they provide all of our lighting and sound. I mean, it's kind of what it says. So those are the two things we will have on the City Council agenda coming up in November. And then I will also just go ahead and say the December meeting for city, they only meet once in December also. That December City Council meeting is generally reserved for them to choose the new mayor and vice mayor. So it's requested that departments don't put anything on that meeting. So PRCS plans to respect that request, so we do not have anything for the December meeting. So then City Council starts up again in January.
If I may, wait, we still need to see if there's agreement on these dates. I was going to ask about the November 3rd date. I presume that looks like the first Tuesday, so that's probably a general election day. We're also meeting tonight, which is on an election day, but it was only one item on the agenda, and we probably don't have to decide this now since it's more than a year away, but give some thought as to whether you want us to be meeting on a general election day for the midterm election or whether we might want to consider changing that. Are there any comments from the commissioners on the calendar?
There's some possibility that I would be away for the April 7th meeting, if that's over the Culver City Schools spring break, although that's after UCLA's back in session, so I probably will be here, but there's some possibility. So I guess looking at the other two people with school-age children, whether they think they would be around for that meeting, so there'd be quorum.
I will be here. That's not our spring break.
I think I'll be around. I don't have anything on my calendar yet.
Okay, great. So I guess we can tentatively leave it as it is, since we discuss it at each monthly meeting anyway. With respect to items on the agenda, I'd like to go back to the conversation that we were having earlier in the meeting regarding that information item on park and recreation facilities fees. I think that we should have this agendized. There's the possibility of lots of work for us, potentially another ad hoc committee to be working with staff as they set up those guidelines. The good news about these fee reduction requests by the developers is it doesn't happen very often. So if some good thought is put into what the guidelines should be, it wouldn't it's not going to be like they're coming around, every month. It's not going to be like what you may be seeing with the people who want to have their name on a park bench or something like that. On the other hand, it's a lot of money when they come in here and ask for it. So I think that it would behoove us to have a more general discussion, and we got to put it on an agenda to do it. And then whether we want to create an ad hoc committee to work with staff to move that forward. So if I have agreement with everyone, or at least 3 of you, all of you, great. What would be a good agenda to put that on? I know you were talking about the fee item potentially coming in January, but on the city council agenda,
So what you're talking about specifically isn't going to be in that public hearing. I would recommend, and the director can, of course, correct me if my recommendation isn't great, is that we just simply agendize it for a discussion date to be determined, because I think a representative from planning should probably be here so that we can make sure any questions you have can be answered, because it is a lot more of a planning discussion than it is a PRCS discussion at times. So I would want to check their availability and see if we could have a representative here.
we should also determine when the item to increase the fees goes on the city council agenda, to send someone from the commission, and if there's any commission statement that we want to make on it. I know it's kind of hard. We can make a decision now to send someone, and then hopefully we aren't in the bind like we are now, where it comes in between the meetings, so we don't have a chance to discuss what we would like to say about it necessarily. So maybe if you want to just talk about it now, so whoever gets assigned to do that would have an idea.
We can also agendize that for January, because your January meeting is before any city council meetings in 2026. So we could have a more in-depth discussion about who you want to send and what you want them to say at that meeting. That I don't think requires planning to be here. Just if we're talking about policy and how you want to, assess developers, I think planning does need to be involved in that conversation, but I think you could agendize January, picking someone to go to the city council meeting when that meeting officially is determined.
Is that agreeable to the commission? And you were going to add the other one under discussion
Yes.
dates to be determined. It might be useful to have an understanding of how the cultural.
Oh, thank you.
It has an E on the end, yeah. How the Cultural Affairs Commission established whatever guidelines that they're using when they talk to developers about having a reduction to their art. It's not going to be the same as ours, but there might be some things that we can learn from that. Are there any comments from commissioners in terms of other future agenda items or the calendared items as they are currently situated?
So I was going to say something of maybe discussion dates to be determined, is that if that goes through with, if they want the fee requests reduce, I was wondering, because earlier when I said like that 1.6 million could have covered Tellefson's Park, it was just to give us an idea of how much money that was, not so much that we.
Oh.
So
Fair
that's
enough,
what
okay.
that's what it was about, because it's a lot of money,
Yeah.
but when you put it to something, then you have a better idea, is that if other commissioners would be interested, if we could have just examples of, maybe a presentation of examples of things that we could use it for, as opposed to, like, what the state, the guardrails that they have. That way, whoever ends up being on the ad hoc committee has an idea of what is going to be taken away from our parks, if that makes sense, just that kind of thing. So we have a better idea of how it works and just that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean,
We can do that in this one item with planning also here, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the hard part of it may well be the fact that there has to be some way of valuing what a developer is going to offer versus what the city, as represented by the department, by this commission, by the city council, wants to see. And those aren't always necessarily in alignment. I mean, the developer's going to, I hate to say it, but sometimes you look at what they're doing, it's like, yeah, it's not quite a used car salesman, and the whole idea is, how do you value the difference between getting actual cash that, based on the guidelines that are set up by, I guess, the state law that we can use it for, versus having a developer having in their mind what they think is meeting the requirements. Director Stevens.
Yeah, I think we can include that as like some examples of things that could be added, and and again, because that'll help guide the discussion on what we want the policy to have. And I think it's also too one of the things. Correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, but when we get that money, there's a timeline that we have to spend it. If we don't spend it, we have to give it back to the developer. So I don't know exactly off the top of my head what that timeline is, but so it's important to know, like, yeah, we can get all this money, but we have to spend it too. And as Adam pointed out, we can only spend it on certain things. So we can bring all that and put it in the presentation when we bring it to you.
And we're also facing the reality, since they passed the law in Sacramento, that we have to wait until the certificate of occupancy on these developments before the money actually flows. So that's a reality. Are there any other discussions for future agenda? If not, I'll take a motion to adopt this item.
I motion to adopt this item. The approval of the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission 2026 meeting calendar and receipt and filing of the upcoming agenda items list with adjustments, if any.
I second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Bond, seconded by Commissioner Chin, to approve the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission 2026 meeting calendar and receive and file the upcoming agenda item list with adjustments. And you may start voting. And the votes are in, and that motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Are there any public comments?
There are no public comments.
Okay. We have one more opportunity for items from members and staff. We'll start with staff this time.
Okay, we'll start in the back. Ryan, you got anything?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, Deputy Director Ferguson?
I do not have anything.
Danny?
Hi. So just a couple things. The recreation coordinator position has been filled, and the position over youth and teen programs, and they will be starting November 17th. We have also hired 4 new pool managers, so very excited about that.
Oh,
Good.
And then everyone has mentioned, but thank you again for your assistance at the Halloween movie and costume parade. It was a great turnout. Staff did a great job. Very excited for that event. Love Halloween events. And then the Plunge food drive, you can drop off at the Plunge between November 9th and the 15th. And I did try to find out the name of the group that they send the food to. I know that last year it was Exodus. I do not know who it is this year. I could not get confirmation. That is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. And on that note, I just wanted to mention, I attended a LA County Parks Directors. We get together once every 3 months, and we got together last week, 2 weeks ago. Can't remember the exact date, but one of the things that was brought up by the LA County Parks Director is that with this federal government shutdown, that a lot of food banks and are like being overrun with people requesting help. So the food banks definitely need the food. So anything people can do to donate, whether it's to us at the Plunge, someone else that they want to give to, just know that there is a big need out there. There's a lot of food insecurity, and right now with without getting political, just with what's going on, it was shared in the directors meeting that a lot of agencies are being overrun with requests for help with food, especially with food. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And yes, it's very exciting getting 4 pool managers. We're hoping to get a 5th soon. I don't know. We're still interviewing. We're getting candidates in, so that's a good thing. So that's good. And then I know Commissioner Bond had asked about the patio, the senior patio. Yes, we had a meeting. It was pretty well attended. I want to say we had at least 30, 40 people there maybe.
There were,
Brian, do you
there were
recall?
probably 40 to 50 people.
Yeah.
It filled up more as it went on.
Yeah, it was good. We got a lot of feedback. I think in general it was all positive. I think we're moving along with the project. I think we're still just determining what we're going to do with the wall.
Yeah, there were some requests for the wall to be raised from 6 feet in height to 8 feet in height to mitigate the traffic noise on Overland Boulevard. And there were also comments regarding adding artwork to the wall on the inside, and that would be handled by Cultural Affairs.
Yeah. So other than
They
that,
asked for ping pong tables?
well, they want to be able to put ping pong tables out there. And so I think, having that space, they would be able to put ping pong tables. They wouldn't be permanent. They would be something that can be moved out there. So hopefully we'll be moving along on that project. The city council last week approved court resurfacing, so we'll be doing that pretty soon, hopefully in the coming weeks. I think we're just working on finalizing the contract. Same with replacing the LED lights. We'll be working on that contract. And then hopefully the playground gets approved next week, and we'll start working on that one. A lot of good, fun stuff going on. We're going to keep Ryan busy. So other than that, we've got, a lot of holidays coming up with the tree lighting and then all the events that we do and the holidays and everything. And so, we're looking forward to some fun in the next couple months. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. See if there's any other commissioner comments. Commissioner Chen,
Nothing for me, thank you.
Commissioner Whitaker.
As always, I just like to always thank staff, always thank director. You guys do a fantastic job. Everything that goes on around the city takes a great deal of work. I always see the parks, they're working all the time. Every time I go, I go to Fox Hills every day, and they're working in the morning. I see them, I wave, they look at me like, who are you? But They're doing a great job. They keep the ground so clean, and I go around to other parks as well too. And our parks are just amazing. Honestly, they really are. They're super clean, and the grass is always mowed, and there's not a lot of brush and shrubbery everywhere, and it just always looks good. It's a great representation of the community, and I always like to thank you guys. You guys do a wonderful job. A wonderful job. On another note, I am happy if we do get an opportunity to sit down with planning, because I do have some questions regarding green space per capita. Just looking at the Fox Hills community and going further with the more building of projects and things, we only have one park right there, and we have a lot of units over there. So I do want to definitely harp on that for green space to be a thing in the Fox Hills community. So that'll be fantastic to work with them and get further into that project. Other than that, holidays are coming up, so early happy holidays, and that is all I have, Chair and Commissioners.
Commissioner Bond.
I have nothing more to add other than to thank all of you for your hard work. And happy Thanksgiving, Turkey Day, gobble, gobble.
Vice Chair Peters.
One comment just about like food drives and stuff. If anybody is able to, the Backpacks for Kids program desperately had put out a new call, because of course that program goes specifically to families, many of whom are on SNAP benefits, who do not have access. So they sent out an urgent call recently to donate more money. So if you have a little extra money, you can donate to the Backpacks program. That's going to go directly to families in our community who do not have enough food. Then I did have one question. I noticed that the bathrooms at Upper Bots were not open the other day, and seemed to have fencing around them. Wondering what was going on there.
They should be open now. So the fencing was the ramping, where the ramp was. They were trying to get that even. I told them if we need to just caution off the bottom part of the ramp, but open up the rest of the restrooms, so they will be open.
That's good, because there's a group of people who go up there who cannot possibly plan their bathroom trips with any precision. So great. Yeah, so that's it for me. Once again, thanks for everything. All the fields are great. Things have been going really well. I think the parks look as good as they always do. So, yeah, even with the recent rains and stuff, which thank God we got some rain.
Thank you. I had one item I meant to mention before. As you may be aware, the Vice Mayor Freddie Pusa has emphasized creating, I don't know if it's a process, he wants to do something different with the creation of the 5-year capital improvement program that the city has. And so I had a chance to talk to him to get a little bit more of an idea of what he was thinking about. And one of the things that he happened to mention was that the Public Works Department has a way with some of the things that they have for capital projects like streets and sidewalks, they have a grading system. I found out in my discussions with Director Stevens that we also have a grading system for things at the parks. Apparently, the county, or you can explain it better in terms of what we have.
Yeah, it's LA County Parks Needs Assessment. We have to fill one out if we ever want to use our Measure A money.
And so, but where the conversation was going with the vice mayor is to be able to use it in a sense to prioritize a little bit what needs to be done, because I'm thinking if you look at the enormity of the number that was attached to the Parks Master Plan, I think it's so stunningly large that you can't get your hands around it. But if you can have something like Public Works does, and apparently it's not asking staff to create anything that they aren't already doing, and making the city council aware of that and standing that up against the park so they can know that, we've got an idea of sort of prioritizing some of the things, at least in terms of the maintenance kind of things, not the newer things like we were anticipating when the request went forward with our budget letter last year for Tellefson, but some of those other things. So I just thought I'd bring that up. And so that's not going to be necessarily, that's something staff can maybe think of as we get closer to putting together the budget for the upcoming year. And then we may get more guidance from the finance department or the vice mayor in terms of where that goes. Other than that, I have no other items. Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I move to adjourn this meeting.
I second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Chin, seconded by Commissioner Bond to adjourn. And you may start voting. And the votes are in, and that motion passes unanimously. We are adjourned at 8:56 p.m.
All right. I made my goal.